Hi again everyone, and welcome back. Now, off the last video that I made, which was the ladies, the young girls who've never met me in my life before, rating me and rating what they think of the way I looked. You can go and see it on my channel. It's my previous video if you haven't seen it yet. There's that, and I did say that I was going to put up pictures of my gradual balding and premature aging when I was in my late teens, throughout my 20s and into my early 30s, and I'm going to do that for you today. So, yes, I have had comments. People make comments that, yeah, I'd give you a 2 out of 10 or a 3 out of 10 because of your age, and then they leave. I'm sure that when you were younger, you did a lot better with the ladies when you had your looks. They just assume that that's the case, and now that I'm older, I don't have that luxury. But it couldn't be further from the truth, as I said. I started seeing the first signs of male pattern baldness at 16. And if you look at this picture, that's me at 16. Up here, you can see how the hair is starting to thin down that front part there, the strip. You see that little... That's thinning hair up the top there, strags, and those little things down here, those little pieces falling down over my forehead and up the top there, that's thinning hair. That was when I was in grade 10 at school. I was 16 years old, and I didn't believe I was thinning until I used to get told by some of the guys in the men's bathrooms when I would fix my hair during the lunch break, into lunch break to go back to class. Oh, you're starting to go bald, and I didn't believe it because I had a comb. I used to take a comb and slick my hair and do all those wonderful hairstyles as I did as a teenager, and I didn't want to believe it. Then one day I got up close. I got my hair cropped shorter than what you see in that picture, and I could see that there were little areas of white scalp through my hair. And I started getting worried, and then I realised, yes, I was going bald. So, what happened was, in my final year of school, 2 years later, I was 18 years old, this was year 12, I was put onto minoxidil, which is nowadays called Rogaine, and I was taking yeast tablets, vitamin B tablets for all those levels that I was lacking in. And I'm going to show you a picture of 2 years down the track. So this is when I was in my final year. This is my final school picture in year 12, final grade of primary school, high school, my apologies. And this is what I looked like. Now you can see here, down there, and there, sneak peek. So, yeah, down through that part there, I won't touch the screen, down through there, you can see how thin it was at the front line, and you can see the white scalp going through. So the minoxidil was kind of keeping it in check, although it wasn't regrowing hair, it wasn't going as fast as I was thinking it was going to go. However, the next year, the following year, when I was between the age of 18 and 19, it started to take a turn for the worse. Now, I want you to bear in mind as I go through this video that not quite at this stage. At this stage, I was worried, but I wasn't. I was worried, but I wasn't blue-pilled back then. I wasn't blue-pilled enough at that age. When I got a bit older, I want you to keep this in mind through the video. When I got a bit older, and I was in my mid-20s, my early mid-20s, and I had hair transplanting done, people would tell me, don't worry, it's got nothing to do with your looks, it's all about your personality. You've just got to be confident around the women and show a good personality and be confident. I even had one of my friend's fathers, after he knew I got hair transplants, telling me, what did they tell you? They told you the season is right to do it? And he had a laugh. He goes, he says, just let it go. Just let it go. Don't do anything about it. It's just natural. He said, these people are all con men. They're trying to make money off people who are insecure about their appearance. But as a man, he says, you don't have to worry about that. You just need to worry about your finances and your confidence. That was a friend's father. And my friends would tell me the same thing right up until even into my mid-30s, late 30s even. Maybe less than up to 10 years ago. It's got nothing to do with your looks. Women don't care about looks. It's all got to do with your personality, your confidence. Just show confidence and women will want you. Well, that was 18. So you saw my picture. So I want you to keep in mind that most of my life, up until probably until my late 30s, mid-late 30s, I was extremely blue-pilled. And I wanted to believe all this stuff. I wanted to believe it was all true. And I believed it was all true, but I wasn't getting results. And in the back of my mind, I realised that I must have been right all along. It is the black pill. It is the looks theory that is correct. And women are attracted on first sight to a man's looks before they give him a chance for an audition. It's got to be his looks. Until I woke up and found the black pill, and I found it with a vengeance. And it's been a blessing since I have, because it's basically told me everything I thought was happening, but didn't want to take control of because I was being warned not to. I was told don't waste money on hair systems, hair pieces, more hair transplants, because it's not about looks. And at the end of the day, that is the one thing I regret in life, not going through fully with it, not wearing a hair system, not buying into a hair system and fixing my looks when I was a lot younger, and I had the opportunity to do so and be more attracted to women in the correct age range when women, guys and girls are hooking up and looking to find a life partner. So here's what I looked like. So that was 18, my last picture. That was when I was in my final year of school. Then the following year, you'll see a massive decline in the hair. So over a year, it went crazy. So this was me at 19. See the big difference there? I'd shaved it short. I got a number 1 on my head. And then that showed completely and utterly that I was losing it. Now, can you imagine being a 19-year-old guy? Just picture this for a second. Think of what you think of as a 19-year-old guy. Just picture a 19-year-old guy. Good-looking, healthy, good-looking face, good head of hair. Think of what a 19-year-old guy should look like, and then there's that. Can you see? There's that. Maybe I got it from him. That's my old man. That's me as a baby. Look at me playing piano as a kid. Talented man. Sorry, ladies, that one's a bit graphic. Those are my kids' photos. Love them. But yeah, you can see where I get my genetics from. My father has the same eyes as me. Go back to that. I've got the same eyes as my father. My father had one of those crazy little comb-overs back in that was in the 70s, because I was born in the early mid-70s, the early 70s, and I'm 46 now. So that's what the hairstyle was like when I was a kid. And my father had the sideburns and the comb-over. But he went bald at 26, and you can see who I take after here, and it's not a good look. But my mother was forced into marriage. My father was engaged to a very, very overweight, obesely overweight, grossly overweight, unattractive woman whose family didn't like my father. My father broke off the engagement 2 weeks before the wedding. He couldn't find a woman to save himself until he lucked out with a very, very obese woman, so I'm told. And he broke it off 2 weeks before the wedding. And my mother wasn't interested in my father at first till her mother pressured her. My grandmother pressured my mother to marry my father because, quote unquote, he's a good man and he'll treat you well, which he does, and he did and he still does. But my mother wasn't initially interested in my father. She initially wasn't attracted to him. And my father, when he was married, was bald. My mother didn't want a bar of him at first. It didn't want anything to do with him. But I guess back then, even then, looks were probably not, they were an issue, but probably nowhere near as big as they are in today's society. So anyway, going back to my 19-year-old shots. Here you go. It was after it grew back a little bit. I had it shaved, it grew back a bit. But you can see that the terrible balding at 19. Does that man look like a 19-year-old with that hair? Can you see me poking my head out at the back there? This is me down here. That's in sunlight. You can see glaringly obvious, and that's when I'm 19. This guy here, that's me. 19, glaringly obvious in the sunlight that the top is bald. The front is all going. Now, imagine being a 19-year-old guy and looking like that. I did. I've got one more for you, which makes it very clear and obvious. That's me at 19. Can you see the front there? That's me at 19. I've got a Benetton jumper on. Yeah. So, you can't imagine a woman at 19 falling in love, lusting over a bloke who looked like me with that baldness. And that was just the start of things to come. So, at 20, that was 19, I went to see a dermatologist, and he put me on to a hair transplant surgeon when I was 20. And I had three transplant sessions done, and I was at uni at the time. And this is going to show you what it initially looked like. So it covered up the front balding, but I had more hair on the sides at the time, so I hadn't fully Norwooded all the way down. And the hair transplanter said, look, it's too dangerous to go right at the back because I don't know how low your hairline's going to drop from the side. It could go further, and it did. So what he did is he plugged up the front, and I was still bald at the back. So I'd got by 21, I'd lost it from all the way back to the crown, from that first part at the front all the way back to the crown. And he didn't want to go all the way, do my whole head, because he said he might drop and he might get a strip, 2 bald strips down the side. He says, if we get to that, you'd have to get to that later. But he did 3, and it wasn't cheap. And back then, it was the early 90s, so the technology, early to mid-90s, the technology of hair transplanting was nowhere near as good as it is today. But looking back on it, I probably should have got a hair system instead. But this is 21. You can still see from the front there's a little bit missing there, but most of it's covered up if you look at the front on. Now we have a look at the plain pull. You can see it had more to go, despite the hair transplant. Now that was a side on at 21, so you can see how the front was transplanted. I think that was after 2 sessions, not 3. But the back was starting to go to the crown, and those hairlines on the side, that line on the side where my hair came up to, that was only to drop further, as you can probably see in my current photos. But that was what I was like when I was 21. Now, can you imagine a 21-year-old guy in the prime of his life trying to meet women looking like that? That's right, 21 years old trying to meet women looking like that, with that hair. And I was taking blue pill advice from family, friends, parents of friends, and stupidly, and this is one mistake I'll tell you guys not to make, is to take any blue pill advice when it comes to your looks. Do not take it. It will lead you down a path of singledom, desperation, and loneliness. Learn from my mistakes. Now, let's move everything that I've done out of the way. 23. This is 2 years down from there with the hair transplants, and so you can see the transplanted area at the front. You can see how bald it was all the way back to the crown. Didn't want to get the rest done. It was way too expensive, and I wasn't happy with the first lot. I was taking blue pill advice, and people were saying, let it go, it's not about your looks. don't worry, there's nothing you can do, let the hair go, shave it, etc., etc. Wrong advice I took, and now I'm paying for it. But should have got a hair system back then, but that was me at 23. Now, 25, I did some travelling. Around Europe, and that's what I looked like at 25. And I was one of the only guys I knew on Europe, travelling around, backpacking around, not getting anything, not getting any action. 25. Which 25-year-old has that kind of hair? That's what happens when you take blue pill advice. There you go. 25. Backpacking around Europe. See the scraggly tufts I talk about at the front from the hair transplant? That was when the hairline dropped further. You can see how far it's dropped here compared to the earlier shots. Yep. Europe. On the Greek islands, travelling around the Greek islands, that might have been somewhere down, maybe down around Mykonos, I don't know where it was, but I can't remember. But it was when I was 25, travelling around Europe, after the hair transplants. One more for the dummies, in Ireland, 25. That's with a lot of sun glare. You can see how thin the hair at the front is from the transplant. 25. You tell me if I look 25 in these pictures. I used to be, when I was younger, I had some friends nastily nickname me, brother of a friend of mine nastily nicknamed me the Pope. He said, "How can you look 40 when you're in your mid-20s?" He says, he shook his head, he said, "You don't understand." But anyway, when I was 26, this is a year later. Just cover up my mates there, don't want to get doxed. That's 26. That was in the year 2000. That was the year 2000. That was New Year's Eve 2000. Late 1999 when I just turned 26. Look at my hair there. And another one. A 26-year-old man. Looking like he's almost 40. Unable to attract a woman because of his hair. Because of his... He just looked too old for his age. He looked too old and no woman wanted to bail me at that time. Until I met that obese manic depressive girl, and she got me to shave my head. Said it would look better. I don't think it does. I think it makes a marginal difference at best, but I think it in a way even made it some senses worse. Now, a year later at 27, in the sunlight, of course. 4 years down the track, let's fast forward to when I'm 31. Don't want to dox the person there on the side. But that was what I looked like at 31 with glasses. Probably looked like I'm in my 40s there, so I'm 10 years ahead of my time, even with a shaved head. Then 33. 33, these photos really good because they were done by a professional photo shooting company. There's a professional photo shoot, and they actually look pretty decent. But bear in mind, these are photoshopped, these are airbrushed. This is not what I look like. This is not what I really look like in the flesh. This is all photo enhancement. But I wish I did look like this in the flesh. It wouldn't be half as bad. That's photo enhanced. You can tell from the shininess on my head and the cleanliness of the beard, the better look on the beard. Yes, I'm a FC Barcelona supporter. Quickly run through these like a slideshow. You can recognise that top brand new. I've just wear it around the house now, but that's exactly the same top that I have in my photos on the CBP channel. These are professionally shot at age 33. Photoshopped. It's like, you know, it's like airbrushed, photoshopped, made to look good for a photo shoot. And I used to actually put some of these in my dating profiles, which gave me some hits, and then women didn't want to know me after the first date because I looked a tad of what I look like in these photos for real, because they're all airbrushed. They used to tell me I used to look like Andre Agassi back then, except not with his build, the tennis player Andre Agassi. And this was about the age that I met my second girlfriend, which was only platonic. There was no sex involved. It was a platonic relationship. But yes, those are professional shoots. I think I look much better in those shoots because the lighting is enhanced, the colours are enhanced, it's brushed up, it looks great. But even there, I mean, this one here, you can see the hairline coming back here on the side. And this was taken in 2009, which is 11 years ago. So that was when I was 33. This is 2 years further down at 35. This is the final photo in today's collage. So you can see that's the real me in the photo. So it's all the real me, but that looks more like it rather than those airbrush photos. That's what I look more like in the flesh than the airbrushing. And that was when I decided afterward I got rid of the goatee beard. I probably look better with a beard, but it's all grey these days, and putting colour through it, I've already grown a beard, you've seen on this channel, but putting colours through it, it's expensive, it's time consuming, and you know, I don't want to be the guy who's compensating with a beard for the lack of hair on top. There we go. You see that? Can you see those hairs at the front? That's the hair transplant. As you can see from the photos, initially when I had it done, it was, you know, my hair was a lot bigger. I had more hair back here. It was higher up. But what happened was that hair all went. This came down further. This remained, the front part. And although some of it hasn't actually survived. Some of it's gone, which is good because it looks terrible. And some of it is going grey like the rest of my hair. Anyway, what are your thoughts? I'd like your thoughts in the comments below. All I can say is it was tough. It was a tough ride for me losing my hair early, getting very little action and attraction from women in the prime of my life. When all my friends were, guys I went out with were, guys I travelled with were, I was the only one missing out at the time. And hindsight is a bugger. I won't use the word on my show, but it's, you know, the other B word. Hindsight's a bugger. But I wish I had this black pill information from all these black pill channels back when I was in the prime of my life. I probably would have got instead of getting those hair transplants, they're probably a lot. Well, the technology was shocking back then. It's a lot better today. But if I was to go through it again, I wouldn't listen to all these blue pill people, my friends, my family, my friends and my parents who told me just to let it go. You can't change these things. I would have got a hair system, and I would have looked 10 to 15 years younger than I actually did at my age. Picture guys, if you want to look through this video again, picture guys the age that I mentioned for my photos. Picture and get a picture of a guy, or get your own pictures if you know if you have them. Think back to your own life. Think back to guys you know, people you know, and think about what they looked like at that age, and just have a thought about the pictures I just showed you, and you'll see how terrible I looked. And for those of you who say, yeah, he probably got a lot of action when he was younger and was better looking, well, those pictures say the truth. I'm here to tell you, I didn't. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.